Welcome to Knowledge Share channel. In this video, we will be discussing about the bilateral and unilateral networks. As you all know from previous videos that we have discussed, there are many classification of electrical networks. So here in this session, we are looking as a continuation of the previous video. That is, we are discussing about the different types of electrical networks. So the electrical networks has been classified into different types, and each and every classification will be having its own types. So in this way, we are discussing about bilateral and unilateral network in this particular video. So let us go into the session. So you can see that in the previous video, we have discussed the types of electrical networks as linear and non-linear networks, or it can be classified as bilateral and unilateral network, or it can be classified as active and passive network, or it can be classified as lumped and distributed network. So already in previous video, we have discussed about linear and non-linear networks. So if you have any doubts with respect to linear and non-linear, you can just refer to the previous videos. Okay. And in this video, we will be discussing only about the difference between a bilateral and a unilateral network. Okay. So we will be discussing about the characteristics, and I will be giving you some of the examples of why it is called as bilateral network and why it is called as a unilateral network. So that you can be having some clarity of identifying the circuit which is bilateral and which is unilateral. So this is how I have classified my way of approach in order to make you clear with the concept of what is a bilateral network and what is a unilateral network. So first I will be describing about the characteristic, then I will be giving you some few examples in order to have some clear understanding of what is bilateral and unilateral network, and then you can come to a conclusion whether it's more clear. Okay, I hope it should be more clear. So now, what is a bilateral network? A bilateral network is nothing but it is a circuit. It is a circuit in which the behavior is same irrespective of the direction of current. Okay, the behavior should always remain same irrespective of the direction of current through the elements in the circuit. Is it clear? So bilateral network, for example, if I am passing the current from left to right, it should produce the same output result. Or if I am transferring the current from right to left, then also it has to produce the same result. So in that case, that particular network is called as a bilateral network. Okay. Then what do you mean by unilateral network? So from the name itself, you can understand that it is unilateral, bidirectional, both direction. Unilateral means only one direction. See, for example, there are some circuits which behaves in a different way if the current direction is changed. For example, the behavior is dependent on the direction of current through the elements in the circuit. Okay. For example, in this particular circuit, the behavior or the result will be changed. For example, if I am passing the current from left to right, it will be behaving in one way. If I am passing the current from right to left, it will be behaving in the other way. So those networks in which the results are dependent on the direction of current are called as unilateral network. So in order to have some better clarity of what is a unilateral and what is a bilateral network, see here you can see with some examples you can have some more clarity. See, for example, now let me first discuss about what is a bilateral network, then I will come with the unilateral network. So bilateral network, so here you can take some examples like, so here the current can flow in both the directions. For example, if you take resistor, the value of resistance remains the same even the current is passed from left to right or from right to left, it is remaining the same. So those elements are called as a bilateral element. For example, if you take capacitor, the magnitude of the capacitor remains the same in the both direction. So those, again, the capacitor also falls under the bilateral element. And again, if you take inductor, so here you can see that the value of inductor doesn't change with respect to direction of current. So those elements in which the magnitude doesn't change with respect to direction of current are called as the bilateral networks. In both the directions, bilateral in both the directions, there is a circuit magnitude, that is the magnitude remains the same. So a network which is built using these bilateral elements are called as the bilateral networks. Then what do you mean by unilateral network? In case of unilateral network, the current can flow only in one direction. For example, if you take a diode, in case of diode, the current can flow only from anode to cathode. If it is flowing from anode to cathode, it will behave as a short circuit. Whereas if it is flowing from cathode to anode, it will behave as an open circuit, or it will post a high resistance or high impedance. So in case of diode, which is called as a unilateral element, the current can flow only one direction from anode to cathode, whereas in other direction it remains as an open circuit, so no current will be flowing. So those circuit in which the result is getting changed with respect to the direction of current are called as the unilateral elements. The circuit which are built using the unilateral elements are called as the unilateral networks. For example, you can see, can you give some examples of the circuit which is built using diode? You take half wave rectifier. For positive half cycle, it is behaving in one way. For negative half cycle, it is behaving in the other way. So those circuits are called as the unilateral networks. So the circuits which are built using diodes always comes under the unilateral network. Whereas the circuit, if it is having only the resistance, inductance and capacitor, it comes under the bilateral network. Is it clear? So hope you are all clear. So in this video, I have given you a glimpse of the difference between a bilateral and unilateral network. Hope you are clear. I have also given the characteristics as well as examples for both the cases. So hope you are clear with the topics. And thank you very much. And if you really like this video, give a thumbs up. If you have any doubts, you can give a comment. And if you want to share that particular video is useful to someone, you just share it. And if you really like this video which I post on this channel, please give a subscribe to this channel, which will encourage me in posting more such videos. Thank you.